Similar alarms were sounded recently to big-ticket donors at retreats organized by billionaire Republicans Charles and David Koch in Palm Springs and by Republican National Committee, RNC, Chair Ronna McDaniel in Washington. "Complacency is our worst enemy," McDaniel said at the Conservative Political Action Conference last month. "Democrats have the energy." Interviews with more than 20 Republican lawmakers, operatives, and strategists nationwide reveal a party increasingly worried about high levels of enthusiasm on the Democratic side and struggling to motivate its own voters to come out in the numbers needed to retain its grip on the U.S. Senate and the House of Representatives. "It's a challenge, it is," said Jeff Flake, a Republican U.S. Senator who is retiring this year. "We've got our work cut out for us." Issues that typically fire up conservatives when a Democrat is in the White House, including gun control, abortion, immigration, and health care, have lost potency with Republicans in control of the White House and Congress, as well as both legislative chambers in 32 U.S. states. Many Republican operatives and lawmakers believe their best argument will be the state of the economy and the tax overhaul passed by Congress late last year. They also believe the party's fundraising power can boost Republican candidates and get out the vote efforts in critical contests. But some worry tax reform is not enough to get Republican voters to cast ballots in congressional races. "Republicans are going to struggle to turn out voters if we can't get a lot more accomplished before November," said Chris Wilson, a Republican pollster involved in key Senate races in Arizona, Nevada, Texas, and elsewhere. We're in a refreak out right now," said Doug Heye, a former top official at the RNC. "If the conversation is on Russia, or White House discord, or Trump's tweets, we're clearly not doing what we need to do." Republicans have watched with deepening alarm as highly motivated Democratic voters came out in force in state special elections in Kentucky and Wisconsin, and in Texas primaries last week. "We should take seriously the fact that when you feel as though you are out of power and out of control of your government, you are going to respond with a higher level of engagement than you would otherwise," said Dennis Revelle, a board member of the California Republican Party. "Democrats need to gain a net total of 2 Senate seats and 24 House seats to take control of those chambers." "Feel the heat now," the polling firm urged Republican incumbents in California to focus on fundraising and to hold town halls without delay in order to draw out criticism as early as possible and energize voters. One slide in its presentation urged Republican candidates to "feel the heat now, not in November." Another counseled candidates to prepare for a negative campaign and not shy away from giving opponents name ID, especially if that name ID is of the negative kind. In Washington, one Republican operative said, the party's House incumbents were given a set of tips: don't take supposedly safe districts for granted. Raise money. Introduce legislation to help constituents. Filings with the Federal Election Commission show the RNC had nearly $107 million on hand at the end of January, the last full reporting period, compared to the DNC's $74 million. In the last 3 congressional elections, Republicans held the enthusiasm advantage, animated by their opposition to Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, and galvanized by hot-button issues such as immigration, guns, and health care. Navigating those issues may be trickier now. Republicans must defend 23 House districts won by Democrat Hillary Clinton in the 2016 presidential election and dominated by more moderate, college-educated voters. The party also needs conservatives to vote heavily in rural states such as Montana, North Dakota, and Missouri, where Republicans hope to oust 5 moderate Democrats. Wilson, the pollster involved in U.S. Senate races, warned that if bipartisan deals are reached in Congress on gun control and immigration in coming months, Republican turnout could be depressed. "It's a complete recipe for a demoralized base," Wilson said. Still, conservative activists say some cultural issues will retain a punch. Penny Nance, president of Concerned Women of America, said the failure in February of a Senate bill that would have outlawed abortion after the 20th week of a pregnancy could be used against Democratic senators who opposed it, including North Dakota's Heidi Heitkamp. But the most effective way for the party to have a unified message rests on the economy, operatives said. You have to show people what you are doing to improve their lives, said Tim Phillips, Americans for Prosperity's president, although he conceded it is harder to motivate voters to come out when Republicans are the party in power. It's fair to say it's easier to vote against something than for it, he said.